last night went and saw Birds of Prey, and now let's talk about it. So I posted on Facebook. It was bleh. I did not care for it. Real quick, just to kind of throw it out there. Yeah, we're gonna do the blunt thing at the beginning. I did not care for it. I thought it was pretty bad, honestly. I've seen some reviews for it, mostly negative, honestly. And the main thing that I disagree with some of what has been said, because they try to say that it's not overly feminist, or Ewan McGregor pumped it up too much to be a feminist movie, and I disagree with that. It was pretty bad. I did not care for it. A lot of the things I didn't like about Suicide Squad I thought would carry over to this, and I would say about medium things as far as production and all that other good stuff about Suicide Squad kind of carried over to the Birds of Prey. So do a quick brief, just run through the whole movie. So it's very obvious that DC is trying to copy Marvel, or moreover Fox Studios, with their Deadpool thing. This is the second DC EU movie to be rated R, and it's very obvious why. They just wanted to shove as many F-bombs in this movie as they could. It's really unnecessary and just kind of dumb. So the movie begins with, just like Deadpool, you get a snapshot of maybe 20 minutes into the movie of what's happening. Big boom, and it's just her dialoguing. She's basically narrating the entire movie, and it's kind of disgraceful to source material to call this a Birds of Prey movie when only two of the characters in this movie were actually members of the Birds of Prey at any point in comic book continuity. And for a full breakdown of the Birds of Prey comics and all that good stuff, I'm going to leave a link to Eric D. July, his channel Young Ripa 95, I believe. Anyway, he made an entire video going over from creation in the 90s up until Rebirth, when the line was finished, going over the Birds of Prey and things like that. So if you want to fight somebody about who was and wasn't a member, go check out his video first and then come talk to me. So getting back to the movie, so it opens up with that narration, just like Deadpool, of her doing something and then narrating, and then, oh, we have to wind the clock back. It goes into this weird animated section where she introduces herself and talks about who she is and how she fell in love, and like just all this backstory that you kind of already got in Suicide Squad, because so much of that movie focuses on Deadshot and Harley Quinn. And she tries to say stuff like, oh, you know, Puddin should have gave me more credit because it was all my ideas that he just took credit for. And it's like, all right, yeah, whatever. Yeah, nobody's going to believe that. Especially with how the Joker acted during the Suicide Squad. Nobody would believe that. You're full of it. So moving forward, she gets dumped, and then she goes like through a whole depression thing where she goes out and buys a hyena from some dude, and then it's just dumb. She buys a hyena for no reason other than have hyena, I guess. She gets her own apartment above a Chinese restaurant, and she's eating ice cream and crying to cartoons and all this other dumb stuff. And so she goes clubbing, Black Mask's club, right? And by the way, this movie is spoiler review, just so I can say I said it. So she's out clubbing, and basically she spends a big, like, I don't know, it feels like a lot of the introduction to this movie in the first like 20-30 minutes or whatever, just drunk, plastered. I'm running around the club acting like a moron just for moron's sake. And that's why I don't like Margot Robbie and her interpretation of Harley Quinn, because she's just an idiot for idiot's sake. It's very reminiscent. It's, like I said, it's just copy and paste Deadpool, really. They just wanted the successful R-rated movie that Deadpool was. So yeah, she's getting drunk. And one of my big complaints about this entire movie is the main character is dressed so skimpy. Like barely wearing clothes half the time, and it's just like, why? I mean, this movie was promoted to be a feminist movie, but they're running around barely wearing any clothes. The only one who wears like full clothing like the whole movie is Cassandra Cain, and that she's a kid for some reason. And then Renee Montoya, who's like an old cop still trying to prove herself or whatever. So yeah, Harley's getting plastered, running around this club, just acting like an idiot. She does stuff just because she can, because nobody knows that Joker broke up with her, so she's like breaking people's legs and just acting like a moron because she's still riding the "I'm Joker's girl, you can't touch me" thing, which is really stupid. Like I said, she's plastered. Some dude tries to take her out back and do stuff, and then Canary shows up and kicks their butt. Beats them up, and then Harley just goes off on her own way after that. And then she decides to blow up Ace Chemicals, which is how the movie opens, because that's her big middle finger to the Joker. It's like, hey, we're broken up. It's over for real this time, or whatever. Just stupid. So moving forward, that's how we're like in the other thing. So this movie, a lot like this video, jumps around a lot. So she'll randomly jump forward to something and then she'll backpedal. It's like the intro to Deadpool, but throughout the entire movie. So like you keep backpedaling to introduce or like explain why this character is looking for this or that or whatever. And it's just dumb. And the promotional for this movie, they straight up name the characters, but they spend part of the movie like being like, oh, who is this character? When it's just Huntress, because she's just going around murdering people. Exactly like her introduction in the Arrowverse, where in a lot of comics, where her family was wiped out by, you know, competing gangsters, and then she's the last one, and she's like, oh, you killed my family, I'm just gonna kill you all, you know, the Punisher kind of esque origin story. So she's running around killing people with crossbows, and really she doesn't interact with all the other characters until the very end of the movie, and that's the other thing. Like, this movie is titled Birds of Prey, but they don't come together to fight as a single group until the very end of the movie. So Harley does a lot of things, and then as soon as she blows up the chemical place, everybody's like, oh, they're broken up, we can go kill her now, because apparently she just made so many people angry. Like, okay. So from there, Black Mask puts a hit out on her, and then they're looking for, like, this movie just jumps around so hard. It's hard to tell, like, the story without, like, jumping around all the time, backpedaling. By the way, this happened. Like, I don't like that. It's very frustrating, especially trying to make a review movie, or about the movie. So Cassandra Cain lives in the same building as Canary. That's how she's kind of introduced, and she's a pickpocket. She lifted the diamond, which is important because it has the Bertinelli, like the location more or less of where the Bertinelli fortune is. So Black Mask is trying to acquire that because he's trying to seize the assets from that the Bertinellis had, so he can, you know, expand his crime enterprise across Gotham. And so they find the diamond, they get it, and then so it's Zaz and Black Canary Black Canary got employed by Black Mask to drive after Harley Quinn broke Black Mask. Like, you see, this movie is just everywhere, and it's just like so many chime pieces in. Like, oh, we got to backpedal and introduce this. So frustrating. So yeah, Harley Quinn broke the legs of Black Mask driver. So after Black Mask witnesses Black Canary saving Harley Quinn, he's like, hey, I want you to be my driver. So that's her new job. She's no longer a singer because she was a singer at the club. Wow, this movie's everywhere. So moving forward, yeah, they get the diamond, and then it gets lifted off by Cassandra Cain because she's a pickpocket, whatever. It's so stupid. And then she decides to swallow it after she gets arrested for pickpocketing. Stealing, basically. So she swallows it, and then so Harley's like, oh, I heard you lost it. Harley gets taken by Black Mask's goons, brought to the club, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna torture you, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, well, and she's like, well, I heard you lost a diamond, so I'll go find it for you. So she's hunting down Cassandra Cain, and then all this other stuff is trying to tie together. She goes to the police station, breaks out Cassandra Cain. They make an escape. They are hiding out at her apartment above the Chinese restaurant. And on their way up to the apartment, she stops and she's like, hey, you know, this Chinese restaurant, or the owner and I are really cool, blah, 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 blah. Basically just building up like, hey, I have a good relationship with this guy. And ultimately he ended up betraying her for money, and people showed up at that place and like tried to kidnap her or kill her or whatever. They escape. She gets on the payphone, in the Chinese restaurant, on their way out, they see him, he's like loading up a van. He's like, yeah, I sold you out for money. And he's like, well, if you were smart, you would do the same thing to the kid, and peace. And then he's gone. So she makes a deal with Black Mask, like, hey, show up at this amusement park, I'll hand you over the girl. She swallowed the diamond or whatever. And then, so they go to the amusement park. Montoya shows up there because Dinah, or Black Canary, calls her, and he's like, hey, you know, this is where it's going down. And then Zaz sees a text from Renee saying, like, see you there, from an unknown number. And he's like, oh, you betrayed him. Like, he tries to kill her, all this other junk. So basically they go to the amusement park. Zaz turns on her. He's like, I know you're a traitor. And then Huntress shows up and kills him because apparently Zaz was one of the people that shot up her family, and that was her whole, like, basically side gig. Like, she was treated as like a side character, if you will, during the movie. So she shows up, kills him, and then they fight their way out, and then Black Mask ends up kidnapping the kid, and then Harley Quinn and the kid fight Black Mask on a bridge, and they kick him off the bridge because the pickpocket slipped a grenade into his like jacket or whatever, because he wears bougie suits, and then he blows up midair. The movie ends with them going out for food. Harley Quinn and Cassie sneak out and steal Black Canary's car, and they ride off into the sunset. Huntress got her family's fortune and started up the Birds of Prey with Renee Montoya and Black Canary. And yeah, that's the movie. Now, what are my other problems with this? Now, I obviously just talked about how the movie jumps around just everywhere. I think it's choppy. I don't think it works. I think it's weird, especially since they're trying to tell the narrative of like 4 characters almost in this movie. Because, we got Harley Quinn, Black Canary, Huntress, and then Renee Montoya. Cassie is like mostly involved with other people's like stories. So it's more like telling the 4 perspectives of a story. That's a lot, especially since they're not really connected. Like, they end up being connected at the end, but it's all like very loose. Like, Renee Montoya, her whole character is, oh, well, the captain he stole my promotion because he took credit for a bust, and it goes about her proving herself, and like, so going back to it's a feminist movie and it beats you over the head. Like, I disagree with a lot of reviews saying that's not true, because Renee Montoya, everybody in the police force constantly craps on her, constantly cracks jokes about her, constantly telling her, oh, you want to work? Oh, you're investigating something? Just stuff like that, and just pointless dialogue to just be like bad men. And that's just dumb. Like, you don't, so we'll get into this when we go over Wonder Woman, but you don't need to demean the other gender, or you don't need to show like males being like, hurtful or whatever to females to show that females can be strong characters. That's completely unnecessary. It's dumb. Quite frankly, it's just dumb. It's just poor writing. Like, you had nothing better to make your characters look good, so you just decided to like villainize the male gender or the opposite gender. Like, that's just dumb. You're just a bad writer. So that's Renee's whole thing. So she actually gets fired from the police force for being too excessive on the case, and she gets drunk before they go to the amusement park. Like, it's just dumb. And her fighting is completely unbelievable. Like I said, she's trying to play an older character when all the other characters are mid-20s, I would say, at most. Maybe 30s. But, like, yeah, unbelievable. Disrespectful to the original character. Even if you wanted to make a case, like, the Question teamed up with the Birds of Prey or whatever, no. Like, she's not even the Question in this movie. She's just some cop. So that's my little tangent on Renee Montoya. Cassandra Cain is completely criminal in the comic books. She's one of the Batgirls, and she's like a trained assassin. She was the daughter of David Cain and Lady Shiva, 2 of the most renowned martial artists and assassins in the DC mythos. David Cain's a little more under the radar, but Lady Shiva has had run-ins with Batman multiple times and other characters throughout DC Comics history. So she's the daughter of these 2 assassins, and she was raised to be an assassin, or I guess at one point, like, her origin was supposed to be a bodyguard for Ra's al Ghul. Yeah, she's just some kid who's an orphan, and that's her thing. She's just a pickpocket. Completely disrespectful to the original character. Only Cassandra Cain in name, and I hate it when they do that. Like, don't just make a new character if you're just gonna do something like that. Don't just put the name on your character in the movie if it has nothing to do with it. So yeah, downright disrespectful, just bad. Just bad. Like, she looks up to and idolizes Harley Quinn, and it's just bad. So Black Canary, my tangent on her now. Obviously, people that know me know I'm going to complain about the fact that she was race changed. Completely unnecessary, just dumb. And she's another one of those characters where she's only Black Canary in name. She uses her ability to, her canary cry once in the entire film. Alluded to earlier, but only once in the film is it actually used. What was the point? If you're gonna make Black Canary, just make Black Canary. Like, just go for it. Huntress, she's just not great. I mean, she's okay, but she's like just a socially awkward female, and she's the butt of a lot of jokes, and not really. She's the only legitimate like member of the team where I was like, oh, like that this chick could fight. Like, I enjoyed. She's probably my favorite character of the movie, and she wasn't even that great. She wasn't even actually in most of the movie. Um, so yeah, that's my little thing on her. Harley's accent, I still don't care for it. I don't care for her portrayal of, or Margot Robbie's portrayal of Harley Quinn. Nothing against the actress, of course, but I'm just not a fan. People say it's an accurate depiction, maybe of like some weird version of her, but even from the card, like she is not an original comic book character. She was created by Bruce Timm and I forget who her other co-creator was, but she was made in the Batman the Animated Series cartoon. And you want to know what Harley Quinn's supposed to be? Go watch that cartoon. She's been in comics for a while, but she's never been a part of the Birds of Prey. Matter of fact, she was a villain at one point as a part of the Secret Six. So that's dumb. And this movie should have just been titled Harley Quinn, because that's all it was. Like I said, they try to duplicate, or they're trying to duplicate the success of Deadpool, but with Harley Quinn. Like I said, it was just dumb. I hated how this movie was everywhere. I didn't like the use of any of the characters, really. Even Ewan McGregor was probably the thing I was most excited about, and I hated Black Mask. I just thought he was, not in the fact of like, oh, what he did or whatever. No, I hated his portrayal. I thought the character was just bad. Easily the most disappointing part of the movie. Just acting, just again, the characters in this movie just act dumb. Like they're just over the top and just dumb. And I hate that. I just thought it was bad. What else? The end credit scene isn't really a scene. It's just Harley talking like, oh, did you know Batman does? And then it just cuts off. Like it just wasn't worth waiting around for. Not that I don't know what they could have used this movie to set anything up. Like basically this movie exists. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. There's a lot of recycled footage from Suicide Squad in terms of like Harley's flashbacks and stuff like that to like when she jumps into the vats, or like just there's a couple other scenes, but it's just recycled footage. So they didn't discount Suicide Squad. She's just running free, even though she at this point is obviously a fugitive from the government because Joker broke her out of the prison in Louisiana, but they broke up. But like, I don't know. It's just, I did not enjoy this movie. I didn't think it was good, and I think some of the reviews may be downplaying just how over the top it is, targeting or just making men out to be bad, especially with a lot of the dialogue. There's a scene where Black Mask is in the bar, and he just makes this. He thinks that somebody's laughing at him, so he makes someone else rip off her clothes and dance for him. Like it's stuff like that that just made me like, why? Just why? Like this isn't weird, or excuse me, this is just weird. Like there's nothing. You're not intimidating anybody. This is just weird. It actually made me uncomfortable watching the movie. I was like, this is pointless. Like if you're gonna make a point to kill somebody or something, like at one point earlier in the movie, he's cutting people's faces off. Like just do something like that. Like that was just demeaning to women, and it had no point in being in the movie. It was just dumb. So it's things like that make it just seem like this movie is trying to make you think that men are bad or something like that, and it's just pointless. Yeah, it really sucks too, because DC's been on a really good winning streak lately, between like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Shazam, Captain Marvel. I refuse to call him Shazam. And now this movie, and like I know I personally didn't like the Joker, but it was like a financial and critical success. And now they got this thing. I don't know. I think it's going to appeal to a very, like a specific group of people. And I don't know. It just wasn't for me by any means. And I did not enjoy this film. It was just bad. That being said, I mean, go check it out, I guess. Make an opinion for yourself. Maybe I'm crazy, but nah, dude. Until next time, see ya.